Before the Zenfone Max Pro M2 launched, there were a lot of leaks and rumors which said the phone will come with Snapdragon 660, a great pair of cameras, a 5000 mAh battery, stock Android, and that the phone will be super durable. I felt it can't be true, especially since it's supposed to be a budget phone. And then the M2 was launched. Turned out everything was true. Best-in-class Snapdragon 660 chip, best-in-class display, best-in-class battery, best-in-class IMX486 camera sensor with wider f1.8 aperture and Gorilla Glass 6. I mean, it looks too good to be true. But is it actually that good? Well, I used the phone for a week and let's break everything down in this video and have a clear view about the phone in terms of how it practically performs in real-time usage. Before we jump into it, let me quickly introduce myself. My name is Sundar, this is Technology Jock. Kindly subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon to help me make more content. Before we begin, a short disclaimer. I wanted to use the phone for a few weeks before posting the review because there's gonna be an OTA update soon and I wanted to test the new features as well. But this is a borrowed phone, I need to return it by tonight, and that's why I came up with the review quite early. I used the phone for a week and I made sure this review is as informative and useful as possible. Now, at the start of the video, I said best-in-class display. Why is that? Well, the Max Pro M2 has the same Full HD Plus resolution as most other phones in this segment. The exact resolution is 1080 pixels by 2280 pixels. At 6.26 inches, the size of the display isn't noticeably different either, and so is the IPS LCD panel. But where Asus scores a point is in the color accuracy. It covers 94% of the NTSC color gamut. To an untrained eye, it's not very noticeable, but it's good to know you're looking at a display that represents colors accurately. Now, the things that I don't like, it is prone to fingerprints and smudges. Here's a comparison between the OnePlus 60 and the Max Pro M2. I know the 60 is way more expensive, I'm just giving you an idea. That's it. Next, like most budget phones, under harsh sunlight it's not very easy to figure out what is on the display. Not a deal breaker though. Next, there is a notch at the top. Now, although I prefer the water drop notch on the Realme U1 and Realme 2 Pro, this one isn't too bad. It's much smaller than the notch on the Redmi Note 6 Pro, and it houses an LED flash, which the other phones don't. To protect this beautiful display, we've got Gorilla Glass 6. Guys, other phones in this segment don't even have Gorilla Glass 5. Forget this segment, even some flagships like Galaxy Note 9, Huawei Mate 20 Pro, Pixel 3 don't have Gorilla Glass 6. So this is a great move by Asus. They claim it can survive drops from waist height. I'm not allowed to do drop tests with this unit. But I watched a drop test video by Amit Bhavani on Phone Radar YouTube channel. Here's a link to that video. And the phone actually manages to survive some drops. Phone as in not just the display, the back also survives drops. The back is made of plastic, by the way. So that's one place where Asus have cut corners. And I feel it's totally fine. Until 2 to 3 years back, plastic meant cheap. Because if you dropped a plastic phone, the back would come off. And more importantly, those plastic backs looked ugly. Here's my Galaxy Note 4, my old Galaxy Note 4. I've dropped it a couple of times during my time with the phone and the plastic back just came off. And look at the quality. But now, yes, the back panels are non-removable, but they are durable to an extent. Durable enough to survive drops, at least on this. And number 2, it looks gorgeous. When I was handed over this phone for the first time, I was almost tricked into thinking it was glass. But then a few moments later I found out because the phone is too light. Okay, in terms of numbers, it's 175 grams heavy. For comparison, the Note 6 Pro is 182 grams heavy. But I'm not kidding. If you actually lift both phones one after another, you can actually feel the difference. It feels more like 160, 165 grams. It's because the 175 grams of weight has been distributed evenly. So I feel these days we must be more open to accepting plastic as a good alternative as long as it's durable and good looking. Plastic backs also make sure the reception is good. I've been using 2 SIMs on this phone for a few days and the reception has been good. The quality of audio coming out of the earpiece is also quite good. I'm on phone calls for at least half an hour every day and there was no abnormal discomfort at all. Now, talking about audio quality also reminds me of the loudspeaker, which really does justice to the name, loudspeaker. It gets really loud. I hardly found myself listening to anything at full volume, even in public places. The reason for this is the phone uses 5-magnet speaker and there's also an amplifier built in. It's called the NXP Smart Amp. Here's a small comparison between the Note 6 Pro and the Max Pro M2. You feel it, right? So yeah, the M2 also has a 3.5mm headphone jack. The audio quality is good, but it doesn't get very loud. That's actually an issue with a lot of Android phones. The jack doesn't allow loud audio. Anyway, let's now move on to the internals. Another surprise. We have the super fast Snapdragon 660 chip powering the phone. It's a slightly underclocked chip. The regular speed is 2.2 GHz for the 4 powerful cores, but on the M2 it's 1.95 GHz. And in real-time usage, this difference wasn't a big deal. Maybe if you edit videos, create a lot of memes, use Snapseed, Pixlr, etc., then maybe you'll notice the difference. But in most usage scenarios, the Max Pro M2 excelled at providing a snappy experience. The Adreno 512 GPU makes sure you can play whatever game you want. It even handles graphically intensive games to an extent. I've been playing a lot of real cricket lately and I hardly noticed any lag. Now, a part of the credits for the speed goes to the software. The Max Pro M2 runs stock Android. It's based on Android 8.1 Oreo, and it should receive the Android Pie update very soon. There's not a lot to talk about stock Android. It's a super clean interface with a very minimal set of features. This is exactly how Google wants Android to be. Asus also removed all sorts of bloat. The list of apps is very small. The only third-party apps are Facebook Messenger and Instagram. I guess most of us will end up installing them anyway. Next, let's talk about battery life. It's got a whopping 5000 mAh battery, and remember, the Snapdragon 660 chip is manufactured on the 14nm FinFET technology. Now 14, as the number goes down, the efficiency increases. A couple of years back, most of the chips were manufactured on the 28nm process. These days, most of the mid-range chips are manufactured on the 14nm process. And chips that are used in flagship phones these days, like on the iPhone 10, Mate 20 Pro, and so on, those are all manufactured on the 7nm process. So here on the M2, it's 14nm, so the efficiency is quite good. The battery life is amazing. It lasts for 1.5 days easily. The screen on time is around 6 to 7 hours. My usage includes playing real cricket for half an hour, PUBG for half an hour, using Twitter, Instagram, WhatsApp, Facebook combined for 2 to 3 hours, watching YouTube videos for 30 minutes, checking out your comments, replying to them, that's another 30 minutes at least. And phone calls for 20 to 30 minutes, audio via Bluetooth and headphone jack for 20 to 30 minutes each. So yeah, even with this kind of moderate to heavy usage, the phone lasts for about 1.5 days easily. Here's a battery test between the Note 6 Pro and the Max Pro M2. Check it out if you're interested. Now, the M2 doesn't support Quick Charge 3. The adapter in the box is a 10 watts charger. I tested it multiple times and every single time it took more than 1 hour to charge from 0 to 60% and more than 3 hours to reach from 0 to 100%. Last but not least, we'll talk about the cameras, probably the biggest upgrade from the Max Pro M1. The M1 had decent cameras, can't really complain about it because the price was too nominal. But now the M2 costs more and the competition is heavier. So how are the cameras? When it's bright, when the lighting conditions are good, the M2's 12 megapixel f1.8 camera gets some really good pictures. The exposure is very good. And when HDR is on, the dynamic range is also really good. If you don't understand terms like dynamic range, exposure, f1.8, etc., then click this link and watch that video. I've explained literally everything in very simple terms. I can promise every single one of you will have a clear idea about all the camera terms. So anyway, most of the time the pictures come out really well, but at times some minor issues crop up. Like sometimes the images look kind of pinkish. This is how the picture is supposed to be, but this is how the M2 captured it. And sometimes it's cooler than it's supposed to be, cooler as in a bit bluish. Here's a comparison between pictures shot on the Note 6 Pro and the Max Pro M2. I actually did a detailed camera comparison video, here's a link to it if you're interested. There is also a 5 megapixel secondary camera for collecting depth information for portrait mode pictures. The portraits are reasonably good, the edge detection is not perfect, but not bad either. The background blur is super strong and you can actually control the strength of the background blur. There is a lot of detail on the subject. Under artificial lighting and extremely dim lighting conditions, the M2's camera performs quite okay. What do I like about it? It captures a lot of detail. For example, here in this image of this leaf, the veins are clearly visible. What do I not like about it? There is a lot of noise and the colors are a bit dull for my taste. The M2 has a 13 megapixel front-facing camera with an LED flash. The quality of selfies has improved a lot from the Max Pro M1, but I feel it's still not there yet. The selfies lack detail, the dynamic range is poor, HDR can make it better, but unfortunately there is no HDR option for selfies. There is no portrait mode either for now, but it is expected to arrive in an OTA update by the end of December. So clearly the images are not as pleasant as we would expect from a camera as capable as this. The issue here is the software. The camera's interface looks outdated to begin with. I don't remember the last time I saw a menu like this. And when you switch to portrait mode, the flash and the beauty mode options are disabled. And like I said, there is no HDR option for selfies. So all the issues are software related and they all can be fixed if Asus puts the time and effort for it. In fact, guess what? You can fix these issues right away by installing the Google Camera app. Yep, it's possible. I made a video on how to enable Camera 2 API and install Google Camera. Here's the link. It's easy, it barely takes 5 minutes. So with Google Camera, that pinkish cool tone of some images, that issue is no more. When you turn on HDR Plus Enhanced, the dynamic range is even better. Look at the sky. The Google Camera's image represents the sky perfectly, while on the other phone it's overexposed. It's just pure white. There is no detail. What's the next issue? Noisy images under low light. Once again, Google Camera fixes it. It captures better images under low light with a lot less noise. And guess what? The night sight feature also works. So even when it's extremely dark, when you literally can't see anything, the M2 captures usable images. Awesome. Next issue, no HDR for front camera. Google Camera has HDR for the front camera. Here's a comparison. It has portrait mode as well and it works flawlessly. So like I said, the cameras themselves are really good. It's the camera app that kind of fails to live up to expectations. But install the Google Camera app and everything just becomes a lot better. But we can't expect everybody to go through all the technical work to install it. As in, I have 2 Google Camera apps on the phone because night sight doesn't work on one of them and the front-facing camera doesn't work on the other. And I had to install like 10 or 12 APKs back to back to find out which one is reasonably stable. So end of the day, whatever it is, it's a third-party solution, it's not perfect. So back to that very first question, is the Max Pro M2 too good to be true? Well, to be very frank, I'm thoroughly impressed by the device. A gorgeous back panel, a great display, a Gorilla Glass 6, a huge battery, great pair of cameras with Google Camera app, a powerful chip, and so on. What I really like about the phone is those little things that Asus worked on. Forget the core specs of the device. I just pick up a random phone and use it for a while. I wouldn't know the exact specs of the phone, but when I pick it up, I can feel that it's not heavy. Turn it around, I can see a gorgeous design, beautiful design. I unlock the phone and use it for a while. Stock Android interface is snappy. I play a video on YouTube. The sound output is just mind-blowing. And say I drop the phone. I pick it up and the display is perfectly fine. These are all the things that you actually feel and see for yourself, and in most of those aspects, Asus has delivered here. The Max Pro M2 comes in 3 different variants, one with 3GB RAM 32GB storage at 13,000 rupees, one with 4GB RAM 64GB storage at 15,000 rupees, and the third variant with 6GB RAM 64GB storage at 17,000 rupees. To be honest, 3GB RAM in the base variant is kind of puny. I wish they gave 4GB RAM instead and the same 32GB storage. That would have been okay. 4GB RAM on a good mid-range phone like this makes more sense. So for that, you need to shell out 15,000 rupees. And for the kind of features it offers, I honestly think it's totally worth it. 6GB RAM variant at 17,000 rupees seems a bit too expensive since the internal storage is the same, 64GB. What do you think about my verdict? Agree, disagree? Guys, this is the first phone review on my channel. One more review is coming very soon. So if you think I did a good job, give a like and leave a comment. If you want to buy the Max Pro M2, use the Flipkart link in the description. It helps me run the channel. If there's any feedback or if I missed out on something, post that as well in the comment section. I'll try to get back to you as early as possible. More importantly, subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon. It really motivates me to make more content. Feels like I'm demanding too much. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. This is Sundar leaving for the moment. Have a nice day. Bye.